part 1 video, I talked about the exercise and movements that mistakes that may be contributing to further bone loss. In this part 2 video, I'll focus on the next top 5 mistakes that may be more to do with nutrition that could be making a difference to your bone loss. If you have osteoporosis, these 5 simple mistakes could be making a difference and causing further bone loss. Mistake number 1, lack of vitamin D. Now this is something that is quite important. A lot of women are quite low in vitamin D, and it's really critical for the absorption of both protein and calcium. So you can see why it is really important, and it is something that is often missing in people's diets. In the past, we used to spend a lot of time in the sun and we absorbed it through our skin. In this day and age, we're working in offices, so we're not outside, and we're also wearing sun protection a lot of the time to prevent skin cancer. And so even though we might be outside, we're actually not absorbing the vitamin D into our skin, which is helping. So there are a number of foods that you can eat that will help improve your vitamin D levels, as well as spending some time in the sun, particularly in the morning sun. Now, where should you start? I guess the first suggestion is to get started by getting a simple blood test with your doctor to check your vitamin D levels. It's a very easy test when you're getting your normal annual blood tests. Get that one included and just see if you're in the optimal range. Not necessarily the minimum range, but at least in the optimal range. And if you are short, I'd recommend using taking vitamin D that also has vitamin K. That also helps ensure that the calcium is absorbed into the bones rather than left in the blood. So there's quite a few different vitamin D with vitamin K supplements that are quite easy to take. I actually take one that's a spray that I consume every morning. It's very quick and easy. The other thing you need to think about is making sure you have it with some fat, because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, as is vitamin K. So you're going to absorb it better if you have a little bit of fat. So for example, I have it after I've had some scrambled eggs. That works really well for me. Mistake number 2 is not getting enough protein. Once again, this is something that a lot of women suffer from, and I believe it was a contributing factor to my osteoporosis. One of the things that you might be misled by is thinking that 100 grams of meat, for example, is 100 grams of protein. That's not the case at all. 100 grams of steak only actually provides 25 to 29 grams of protein, which did surprise me. And that was a contributing factor as to why I was not having enough protein, because I was overestimating the amount of protein in particular foods. Protein is the main building block of our bones. So if you don't have the structural components, there's nowhere to put them to collect the minerals like the calcium and the phosphorus to actually build your bones and make them stronger. Another suggestion I'd have with protein is to actually track your meals each day for anything up to 2 weeks, so that you can get a real handle on exactly how much protein is in the different foods that you like to have. You don't need to do it ongoing, but just to get an idea of actually how much protein type of foods you need to eat to actually meet your protein guidelines. And for women, a lot of experts now are suggesting that they should be having at least 100 grams of protein a day. The minimum guidelines are 0.8 grams per kilogram of lean body mass, but that is now considered to be a little bit on the light side, and that was really only ever for maintenance. It wasn't for building bones or building muscle. So it's good to target 100 to 120 grams of protein as a good starting point, and you'll probably find that that helps both your muscles and your bones. And the other good thing about protein is it does help with satiety as well, so it can help stop you overeating. Mistake number 3 is eating too much carbohydrates, sugar and seed oils. These are not required. You don't actually require any carbohydrate in your diet whatsoever. Your body can make all the glucose it needs for your brain and your muscles. That doesn't mean you can't have any carbohydrate. You know, we all like to have a bit of carbohydrate, but over-consuming carbohydrate at the expense of other nutrients such as protein and fat is quite negative for your body. Most importantly, in terms of bone health, these foods are very pro-inflammatory, and they can actually inhibit the absorption of calcium and cause you to lose excess calcium through your urine. For bone health, you're always better to stick to a whole foods diet with plenty of meat, fish, eggs, poultry, and vegetables and fruit. They're your best bet, and as long as you lay those as your foundational eating pattern, then you're really setting yourself up for the most success of building back your bone health. Mistake number 4, drinking too much coffee and caffeinated drinks, particularly after you've just eaten nutritious food. The reason for this is that caffeine actually inhibits the absorption of key nutrients such as vitamin D, calcium, zinc, and magnesium. All are critical for great bone health. Instead, you're better off, and the other thing is that it impacts your sleep. Even if you don't think that coffee affects your sleep, a lot of people still fall asleep very easily, even if they've had a coffee at night. But it still causes people to wake up during the night, and it really impacts your deep sleep. It reduces, I think it's like 10 minutes for every hour, which doesn't seem a lot, but deep sleep is something that you don't get a huge amount of, so 10 minutes actually does make quite a difference, and it can cause your cortisol to rise, which is not healthy. Instead, you're better off making sure you wait at least 2 hours after eating to consume coffee or caffeinated drinks, and try to have a hard cut off around midday so that the coffee is out of your system, because it has a half-life of at least 6 hours. So you want to be well and truly reduced in your system by the time you're trying to sleep. Mistake number 5 is smoking and drinking excess alcohol. Smoking impacts the formation of your bones, so that's definitely not something you want to be doing. Excess alcohol inhibits the absorption of calcium, and in addition, it can affect your quality of your sleep and cause your cortisol to rise. And we've already talked about that with the caffeine, that you really need that quality of sleep for your body to rest and repair, because that's when all your bones are actually doing a lot of the building work while you're asleep. So if you didn't already have a good reason to quit smoking and drinking to excess, this is it for your bones. This is your cue to quit smoking. It should give you a good motivation. For the excess drinking, I mean, think about it. Falling drunk laughing and having fun and breaking your hip can be a really serious consequence of excess alcohol that you need to consider. It's something that I really enjoyed a drink every now and again, and sometimes it was to excess. I must say I have stopped doing that, and I haven't really had a problem with it. I still enjoy a drink every now and again, as you would be able to, but just keep it down to less than 3 drinks at a time. These simple mistakes are easy to address, and they build on the first 5 mistakes that I talked about in my first video that were more around exercise and sleep. Obviously, you're not going to start everything all at once. I mean, some people might, type A personalities, for example, but for most people, it's really a matter of going through the list of mistakes and going, well, there's a couple of easy ones. For example, cutting back on the sugar and carbohydrates, cutting back on the alcohol consumption, maybe stop drinking every day and maybe cut yourself down to 3 glasses at a time. Really think about stopping smoking, but it doesn't have to be something that you have to start with now. Don't delay doing the other things because you're smoking. You can still do everything else and avoid all the other mistakes, and then put the quitting smoking off till later on. Don't just throw everything out just because of that. Remember, it's all about progress, not perfection. It's all about consistency over time. You're not going to reverse bone loss in a week. It's going to take you months, if not years. It took me 2 years to build back enough bone that I was actually then moved into the Osteopenia range. I'd still like to improve my bone density even further, but it will take time, and it really is about being consistent over time. It's the decisions you make every day that build up on top of each other. Which mistakes are you making? Leave me a comment on which mistakes you're going to focus on first and why. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe so you're alerted the next time I've got a video to share.